All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am a real American fighting for the rights of every man. And I am coming to you this weekend base hit with somebody else. Doesn't matter who, because let me tell you why. The reason I am showing you why I'm a real American, because in Blab, there's a very rare thing happening, and it is a Zubaz versus Clone playoff matchup. I am the United States national team, of course, because I actually care about America. And then there's the other guy. And why don't I just
Also
invite him
based in
in right
America.
now?
Also based
Clone,
in America.
how is your week going?
It's awful because I lost game two, but
We're 1-1.
it could turn around immediately. I also am feeling very underdressed
Yeah,
because I knew that you were going to come hard with the America stuff,
team
but I did
spirit.
not know it was going to be
You didn't
this.
know you didn't know I was going to be wearing American flag eagle pants.
Those are amazing.
Yep. I even got flag socks on.
I asked you if you had America pants yesterday, and you were offended.
I
Like,
was. Of course I
can you
do.
believe you're asking me that?
Ow, ow, ow,
Um,
ow.
are we
Sorry,
going to
sorry,
watch?
sorry. I gotta get this out of my way. I'm sitting here and just gotta get my 6.5 millimeter Grendel out of the way. Sorry.
Oh
So,
my
sometimes I
God.
sit on it there. We'll
Oh my
we'll
God.
get that out of the way there. All right.
We're gonna get flagged, I think.
America first. No, there's lots of gun YouTubers. It's no
Okay.
problem.
Um, we're
America,
gonna watch.
baby.
Are we gonna watch any of these games together on GameView,
Sure,
or is it
sure.
too stressful?
Game four, or game three, I'm going to be pitching Frank Drebin of Police Squad fame. He is my ace. And then Gary Johnston's coming after that, who Team America was the president. I got my renames in place. I got America in place. We're going to
I think I'm gonna suggest. I think it's pretty dull for people to watch other people watching the games, but
yeah,
I think that we should watch them and record them, and I can edit them and fast forward just in case anything good happens. What do you think about that idea?
we could try it. It's
Maybe
worth a try.
maybe through them all. Yeah, we could see. I still say I know it's a personal memory, but the time that we watched the one game view and I had the big comeback at the end, and
It was the worst. I
you
had
had the
the
little wind sock guy.
The windsock guy, yeah, because I was all ready to do it. I had it ready because I was winning, and I was gonna throw it in your face, the windsock guy coming up, and it was gonna be the big reveal at the end, which was gonna be hilarious. And then I just sat there and moped for like 10 seconds, and then I just turned it on anyway, and it looked so pathetic. It was like perfectly pathetic. Yep.
Uh,
All right.
I know, yeah, being indulgent talking about our teams, but you're in the World Series all the time. This is not even a World Series, but I have
Yep.
not. I don't have as many teams. I haven't been as good lately. Uh, I would say that the mark of a good league or the mark of whatever is when I watch games in game view and I'm watching the playoffs in game view. I guess I watch the playoffs in game view anyway, but
Yeah.
maybe it's the speed that I watch the games in game view is a mark of how exciting the series is. And I am
The
feeling the
speed goes
pain.
down, the more invested you are, is what you mean?
Yes,
Like
yes.
you're just seven is where I go if I'm just trying to blast through it, but I want to get the effect. Six is a game that I'm interested in, uh, but then five is where it's like, okay, I'm taking it serious.
Yep.
Four is for game sevens.
I've been playing my teams a little different too. I shouldn't even talk about it.
You should say it.
I've been pitching guys. I think it might have come from that crappy podcast over there, but I've been pitching my guys longer than I ever used to.
Oh,
Been leaving my starters in longer, and it's mostly been working out. But they're
yeah,
getting there. But then I'm having problems with them being too tired to get into the next game. But
yeah, yeah.
changes to my manager settings are not that often, and it's a big deal. It's a big culture shift when I
Just
shift one.
switch the slider, and then you go back in later, and you're like, what am I doing?
No kidding.
What am I doing? I occasionally do it based on the pitcher. Like if I have a high psi guy, I'll put him in and just let him go for as long as he can go because there's no negative effect of Cy with
Yeah.
Ian. But if you have a a power controller or power finesse guy, you can't do it. You better, or I wouldn't do it anyways because that guy can get beat up later in the game.
Part of it also was because of salary cap that I was starting to, because I had always loved low salary pitchers because you could generally get a deal on them.
You
And
mean
then
lower
salary,
EN
lower EN guys, yeah, sorry.
would have
Lower
lower
EN
salary?
guys
Yeah,
because you could get a deal on them. And then with the with salary cap being tough, then like I needed the innings chewed up. So
that's
then
right.
I started paying more attention to EN. But then I made a trade in one of my leagues where I got a 52 EN guy who's been pitching really well, leaving him in longer. It's working out, and that makes me regret because I left a guy on the board in that Blab draft because I was worried about his EN and
Kibby.
CK's had him and you beat him, whatever. All
No,
right,
he
we'll talk
beat me 2 games though. Like two of
it.
CK's wins were Kibby. Yeah, I beat him in game 7 though. That's all that matters.
All right,
All right.
we can stop blabbing about Blab.
All right, so let's talk about the other great thing happening, which is for the first time in 25 years, we're updating the UI of the game. And if I can just have a preamble, a monologue per se, maybe a rant, maybe a diatribe. I don't know what any of those words mean. But uh, I'm super bullish and excited about the changes that we're making here for a number of reasons. The first one being is
This is the free agency page that people
yeah,
are going to put changes on. Got it.
the free agent page, it's going to be the start of the update of the UI to the game. And I know, like, let me just put it out there right off the bat. I know sometimes like a change like this is a big change, especially people that have been staring at the wall of numbers for a while. But you remember even 2 years ago when we were putting out things, we would always talk about the problem with the wall of numbers with user acquisition because it was such a huge barrier of entry for new users. And it wasn't that long ago that the biggest fear for all of us, not people working on BaseHit, but all of the user base, our biggest worry was we weren't getting any new users into the game, and the game was on a slow, deteriorating decline. And so that became priority number one. And so we went through a lot. We went through like questioning new users. We went through essentially a focus group of people that we knew didn't play the game that were helping us with it. We contracted with a group that helped us with UI, and it became perfectly clear that the place that was killing people was the wall of numbers. And so we needed some way, without affecting the gameplay overall, of making that more friendly. So that's number one. We wanted to get that done, and I think there's no doubt that this new UI change helps with that. Number two, though, is the functionality of the page really, there was none. Like there was a wall of numbers, and that's great. And a lot of people got very used to that. But the sortability, the aggregation of data, the exportation of it, the ability to um, uh, uh, sh show the page in different ways by total batters as opposed to by position or sorting by whatever you get the idea. And we've put a ton of functionality. I don't think people even realize all the functionalities in that's in that right now. And then but third, once we rolled it out, we got some great feedback too, is like okay, this is great, but on mobile it's just too much, so you need a compact view. So we've already put that in. I think it's out for everybody, but if it's not, it will be soon. um
This sorry,
yeah,
you are having a great diatribe,
yeah.
but just to back up, in case you haven't been keeping up, we put out new UI for free agency. I think October 1st. I can't remember, but and we got a lot of feedback. There have been a ton of changes made to it. There's still going to be changes, but we've made a ton of changes. CBT has been working hard There were speed issues he got to fix. He's got the compact view on there. There's lots of stuff. And then a few days ago, we put out the headers, sortable headers on the compact view that I think were kind of the last missing piece that anchored it back to the old pages. But just in case people hadn't noticed. Um,
Yep.
but but I agree. There's like a list, and beyond us talking about it, I'm going to work on a tutorial for new people. But if anybody else, but there's a list that I have of like 20 improvements that we've got packed in there. And yeah, they're not all obvious at the start. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail what you're
No,
talking about.
no, you hit on the thing there too. It's like that's why the feedback is super important because what we do with the feedback, especially if we're hearing it from multiple people, like we did with the sortable columns in compact view in general, whatever it is, um, we've already made those changes, and so keep that feedback coming in. Be I always have said like you got to be a proactive member in your own success. So if there's something bothering you, you got to give us the feedback. At the same time, there's definitely no going backwards, right? Like that old page, as much as I got used to it over 20 years, that's not going to be the way forward. That's not a game that can scale. That is just that. And so it has to be more functional, more intuitive, more useful, easier on the eyes. And that's what we're trying to do with this. But does that mean we have a fully baked finished product? No, no. We got it as baked as it could be. And then we're using our crowdsourced amount of users to figure out like, okay, how do we optimize it now and make it the best we can for everybody?
And even if we had it perfect, it's gonna hurt people to start because it's change, and we're used to
Deep change.
where everything was. We're used
Yeah.
to how everything looked, and I 100% agree that it's harder at the start to figure out where stuff is. We're trying to help that out, and it takes a little bit of time. But I do think if people give it the time, you can find a lot of good stuff in there. I think yeah, I think
I would just,
a lot of we can't
tell,
and we can't. Oh no, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
I
You're
was
right.
just going to say, I would just tell people that this was designed by four people that have played the game for 20 plus years. Like so we're part of that too. Like we know what it's like to have to deal with change. And but I can tell you for sure now, like I'm using it uh, in redraft sprint. We're doing essentially a full league draft. I won't go into the rules of the league, but it's a big draft. There's a lot of people in free agency, and I've been using it on mobile. And now that we've made compact view, we've made the scrolling sortable header. I love it so much. It's so clean. It's so easy to read. And now that I've gotten used to it, I would never go back. So I would just encourage anybody that's having that initial, like, oh, I like it the way it was. Trust me, you're gonna love it the way it is, but you
right.
just got to get used to it. It's just like the when you hop in a pool, it feels real cold at first. Next thing you know, you're in there with 18 babes drinking Coors Light, and there's trains rolling by.
uh, we've talked about the feedback, and I'll say it again. We appreciate the feedback. There's some feedback that's more helpful than others, and there's some feedback that's it sucks, oh God, and we hear that, but it's hard to work with. And I really appreciate the people that, even if they started with it sucks, oh God, that took the time to talk through it with me, to like
Like,
actually
what's the
go through the
specific
process of
feedback?
how they
Yeah,
use the page
yeah, yeah.
and what the problems are that they're running into, because we want to make it better. And not, but yeah, the answer just that it sucks, and why can't it just be? And also I think, there's also an impulse of like, can't we just have both? But the problem with that is we
Well, you can't maintain the
can't build
functionality
things
of.
and be supporting, yeah,
Yeah,
we can't
no,
be
no,
supporting uh
no, that
multiple.
can't happen.
But I also remember, like, I don't know if you remember when first starting Gmail, and like whenever there's changes to stuff like that, like always hate the interface. But when I first got Gmail and it had the emails grouped together, I remember how crazy that was to me and how awful it felt because I was always used to
All
just
the
having,
email forwards going across like this in Outlook.
I was just always so used to it. And then, and now, when you think about it, it's like,
Like
of course, you
everything
keep
looks like
the
Gmail
conversation.
now. Yeah.
Of course, you keep the same conversation together. Why didn't we always do that? But God, I remember hating it at the beginning. Anyway.
So yeah. But like I also I celebrate this change because it is really it's a super big milestone in base hit history, as we boldly move forward to bring this UI into the 2020s, not turn of the century, which it was, and it was basically the same since then. And also I'm devoting a lot of money to people development and also new user acquisition. Trying to save this game, baby. And so this is part of that. So please help support us by giving us good feedback and giving everything its rightful chance. And just know that it's not developed by some asshole in some other country just thinking this is the way to do it. This is developed
Brought it
by
back to America.
by American, no, by four people that have played this game for 20 years and are finding functionality that will make this more usable and make it a better game for the next 25 years.
I promise that I will get a tutorial out with some tips and tricks because everybody's using it different. I'll specifically say use the stars to favorite players. That's what I've learned. Like I went through an enormous free agency list yesterday, and the biggest thing for me is doing the first pass through. People have talked about not being able to see guys. Do the first pass through, stick some
Star
stars
people.
on guys you're interested in.
I
Then when you
haven't
get
actually been using that. That's a good tip.
click the star, and then all of a sudden the list is down to who you're interested in, and then you can
Yep.
really dig in and stare at them. But
And really
CBT,
play with those sorts. Like you can really specialize a lot of lists. And the other tip that CBT's been putting out, like there is a way to do everything and do everything better. But you'll just have to get used to it. It's like getting an iPhone for the first time, and there's like an intuitive way to do everything, except you just don't know exactly what everything is. But once you get used to it, you're like, Jesus, this is way better than that little scroll ball I had on my BlackBerry. Um, but a good one is when you're bidding on multiple free agents for like shortstop or whatever, you can attach a scrub to it so that you don't get three shortstops when you really only wanted one, but you bid on three. Because what will happen is you'll get the highest salary one, and then the other two won't have that scrub available to drop anymore, so they'll automatically leave. That's such a great tip. There's a lot of things like that,
pro
and
tip.
yeah, that's a pro tip, and there's a bunch of other ones too. So if you're having trouble or something like that happens, ask the question, get into the community, because I guarantee you somebody's going to have an answer for you on how to best use what we're putting out there, because it is a leaps forward from where we were.
I think we're already out of time, and I
I'm
think
sure
that
we are.
this might have been as manic as we've been in a while.
Had
So
to get a lot in there. Had to get a lot in there.
that's
But
good.
a tutorial's coming, right?
Yep.
Of some kind. So look for that. Ask questions. Productive member of the community. Thank you for appreciating the hard work that's gone into it, because it was many, many moons, many months in the making. So this was a big deal for us. All right. With that, I have to go set my lineups because there's nothing that I want to do more in my life than beat Clone in playoff series, because he's dominated me historically. I think I've only won one playoff series from him ever. And so I wanted so bad at 1-1. Everybody root on America, not the fascists, the Europeans, everybody else that's in Blab. There's only one true American team, and it's your boy. Go Zubaz. Go United States national team. God bless America and God bless our troops. We're out.